Hey everyone, welcome to this new moon Sidereal astrology forecast for the new moon on January 12th and 13th, Tuesday and Wednesday of 2021. All right, so a fresh new start to the lunar cycle. We are ending the current phase of the previous solar eclipse cycle, which is ending as we approach the Tuesday-Wednesday time period. So great to finalize and complete things with that, but definitely a fresh new start going into the middle part of the week, and in this case in Sagittarius. If you're expecting me to say Capricorn just then, be sure to check out that link down below for more information on true sidereal astrology. All right, so Sagittarius the Centaur, it's all about purpose and what inspires us and how can we have a little bit more of that expansive energy in our life to expand both our mind and our perspective to what's possible so we can aim that purpose towards a goal, but also to maybe sometimes expand our literal horizons, getting a bit adventurous or open-minded. So a bit of that free spirit, really good to cultivate and set some new intentions with around this new lunar month. Now, with this new moon, it is going to be in a very close conjunction with Pluto, the planet of the underworld. So very deep, very much about transformation and change. Are there some things that we do want to maybe let go, release, so that we can create some new beginnings, right? It can be a very transformational and very empowering new moon. If there are any fears you want to face, anything you do know that you might have to do in the face of some fears or might involve some self-empowerment, it can make this very constructive as well. So no major aspects with the new moon other than that conjunction to Pluto. But of course, it's always important to look at Jupiter, the ruler in this case of Sagittarius, and he's in grounded Capricorn, still next to Saturn. So a lot of these things that maybe we are expanding our mind about, recognizing that these things might take time. Capricorn is about seeing the long road and patience, but nonetheless, maybe it's around accomplishment and achievement. Could be a great way of working with this. And with this square up to Uranus, Jupiter will be squaring Uranus this week. There might be a bit of erratic energy that we do want to find some balance with. There might be a part of ourselves that wants to break free, maybe make some sudden changes, and to find the constructive way of incorporating more healthy freedom and change in our lives. All right, so let's take a look at all of this here in more detail when we return. All right, so here is the chart for the new moon. The exact time of the new moon will be very early Wednesday at 00:05 a.m. Eastern time of the Americas. So again, Wednesday morning, 00:05 Eastern time of the Americas. But for all intents and purposes, it will be late Tuesday and early Wednesday for the world. And and of course, as you can see here, the signs are different from mainstream astrology. We are using the uneven actual sizes of the constellations. So the signs will change. Like I was saying, if you are following some mainstream astrology, you will notice that they're saying that the new moon is in Capricorn, but if you do look up at the sky, you will see it in the constellation of Sagittarius. So again, do check out that link down below for more information on true sidereal astrology. All right, so let's go and start first with what a new moon is. It's a fresh new start. It's a new lunar month. And as we approach this Tuesday, Wednesday time period, really good to finalize things from this previous lunar cycle. And the previous cycle was a very karmic one. It was involving the South Node, and a very healing one dealing with Fucus. So this was the time where we may have turned more inward and maybe did some healing or some things that were exposed about ourselves or about life that we can heal. It's a great time for shadow work, right? Deep diving and maybe releasing some karmic energy. So this new moon will likely feel like quite literally a fresh new start, where we come out of that cocoon of a Fucus and go into the more free-spirited energies of Sagittarius, right? Sagittarius after a Fucus is the sort of butterfly emerging out of the cocoon. We've done a lot of that inner work, inner transformation, and now we get a bit of free-spiritedness, a bit of fire, right, and a bit of expansiveness. So Sagittarius the Centaur, it is, if we look at the Centaur, right, it's the half horse, half human who's pointing the bow and arrow with purpose, right, at a target. And so Sagittarius represents that purpose, right? It's all about our life path. It's all about what we want to pursue in terms of what inspires us. And in the sort of horse analogy, it's also by listening to that spiritedness, right? To listen to that free spirit, because that's usually what guides us, right? If we're kind of too closed or we're not open-minded, then we kind of lose our purpose. And so the free-spirited energies of Sagittarius help us be open-minded, help us maybe be a bit adventurous, a bit expansive, right? And then that helps us see the bigger picture. And then once we see the bigger picture, then it's much easier to, do that purpose and listen to that free spirit side of ourself that does want to pursue these fiery things. So great to set intentions around this, things like what inspires us, what's going to give us more freedom in our life. Sagittarius is also the philosopher, so it's a great time of doing things like maybe spirituality, maybe philosophy, more abstract stuff, rules the right side of the brain. And so anything that does invoke, again, that spirit, really good to set intentions with. But do give it some time, of course. The new moon is the lowest energy of the lunar cycle. So as we slowly go through the rest of this lunar month, we'll notice more and more of that fire energy building, more and more of maybe that inspiration coming about, and how we can, again, expand our perception to see what's possible, and then giving us a clearer sense of purpose and direction. Now, the new moon will be conjunct Pluto, and Pluto is the ruler of the underworld, right? So Pluto deals with excavating all this deep stuff and is very similar to that deeper energy of Ophiuchus. So in this case, are there some things that maybe need to be let go? Maybe some things that we just feel like it might be a bit uncomfortable to do, but some things that maybe we have to let go or make some changes with. It's all about endings and beginnings with Pluto. It's all about transformation. And fundamentally with Pluto, it is about empowerment, because usually in order to make change, it does require facing that fear. It does require that self-empowerment. And so as we do that, then we start to feel, more like that's something that's important to us, and although uncomfortable, can be extremely constructive. So great to set intentions with change, with self-empowerment, with transformation, with endings and beginnings, things that can set a new cycle that we feel like are things that, we need to transform or want to transform and change, that can help us feel quite empowered and, again, quite free-spirited as a result of that. So there's no major aspects with the new moon other than this conjunction up to Pluto, which is important enough as it is. Right, it's very close to Pluto in this sense. And this is also in the context of the fact that looking back at last year of 2020, there was a lot that has transformed and changed, both with our personal perspective on life and also the collective perspective on life. So in a sense, it's the ending of this kind of energy, especially now that Saturn and Jupiter have left Sagittarius. But it, in a sense, is also a nice step in the right direction, right? What are some things that we can really, again, expand our perspective about, see the bigger picture, and really see how important our beliefs are, because our beliefs really do manifest our reality. It's not just that, it's not just our beliefs, but they play a huge role. So whatever we believe to be true ends up sort of manifesting. We'll see it, right? And we send that energy out, and then it starts to fuel that kind of perspective. So whatever our belief is really does manifest in the external, and I think that's one of the fundamentals that Sagittarius is about, and especially when Pluto is involved, which Pluto is that deep energy, usually our unconscious, our beliefs more in the deeper part of the psyche. All right, so that's the most important thing with the new moon. But let's, of course, look at Jupiter, because Jupiter rules Sagittarius, so this can give us additional information about the energy. So Jupiter has recently entered into Capricorn and has recently conjoined Saturn coming into this year. And Saturn and Capricorn are in many ways opposites to Jupiter. Jupiter, just like Sag, is about expansion. It's about beliefs. It's about potentials. And that is very important for manifestation. But so is the grounded approach, and that's what Saturn and Capricorn are. It's the belief that we have to work hard for things to manifest. We have to be patient. We have to put in the work, right? It's more of the traditional or status quo type of manifestation perspective. So we really want to combine both, especially with Jupiter in this placement. How can we be open-minded, but also recognize that things do take time, they do take patience, and they do take that long-term perspective. And when we combine these two, right, the beliefs with the work, right, the expansion with the contraction, the expansion with the patience, right, it becomes extremely constructive. And I do think it's going to be a very constructive year collectively with these planets next to each other here. Now, Capricorn can often deal with accomplishments and things we want to achieve. So if there is anything you do want to set intentions with that, is something you want to accomplish, something you want to achieve, this again can be a great new beginning for that. Now, Mars is going to be squaring Saturn around the same time of the new moon, so it's going to add to a bit of that restrictive energy, but I think that's just going to last maybe the first few days. With Mars now entering Aries, there's a lot more fire, a lot more of this wanting to take action and initiative starting to build, especially as we come out of the new moon. And so again, Saturn squares, it's a bit of that restriction. So it's, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Patience, discipline, I think is really the key with this new moon, even though it is a fiery one. It's really how to combine the fire with the earth, the inspiration with the work, right? The expansion with the contraction, possibilities, and that long-term perspective. So with this as well, Jupiter is going to be squaring Uranus later in the week. So as the week unfolds, I think it's great to see that maybe there are some things that we're really wanting to break free with, right? Uranus, especially in Aries like this, is very much about making changes in our life that speaks more to our true self. It's about listening to our excitement. It's about doing things that matter more to our true self, right? And sometimes having to disrupt things, challenge our own status quo or the status quo in order to induce change. The challenge is with Jupiter again expanding things in a square, it can sometimes really expand that Uranus energy. So it can be, sometimes a bit impulsive, maybe a bit erratic, maybe too much of that challenging the status quo or too much of that freedom. So we do want to make sure we are conscious of that if there is a bit too much of that, but nonetheless to listen to our visionary side, right? Fundamentally, what Uranus is doing is helping us, listen to that excitement and to take action in this case with the square towards what excites us, right? Towards the things we do want to make changes with, towards the things that are going to bring in more freedom into our life, right? Great to listen to that, and any intentions, any constructive energy you do want to set around more freedom, more change, making our lives more true to our true selves and embodying more of that true self and that excitement can be extremely constructive as well with that intention there. All right, everyone. So that's the new moon in a nutshell. Very straightforward in Sagittarius the Centaur, aiming that bow and arrow with the half horse, half human, which is about listening to that freedom, that sense of free spiritedness. What are we, kind of inspired about that we can aim that bow and arrow at and pursue with purpose, right? Do give it some time with the new beginning. Do give it some energy that involves some self-empowerment, some willingness to make some changes, some transformations. Do see how it does take time with Capricorn and Saturn and how we can accomplish and achieve things in this context. And trying to balance out a bit of that fire and earth. How to see the inspirations, but also take that sort of grounded, long-term and patient disciplined approach to those matters. All right, so everyone have a fantastic new moon. Thank you so much for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to click that like button. And if you're not yet signed up for MTZ Insiders, definitely check out the link down below. This video was released first for MTZ Insiders. It's just a newsletter. You sign up with your email and you do get these videos released before YouTube. But again, thank you so much for all of your support, and I'll see you all for the next astrology forecast. Take care.